Hello. In this video, we will go through how to set up this free budget tracker template in Google Sheets. It'll be connected to a Google form, kind of like this, where you can enter in your expenses, your income, and it'll do a automatic calculation and breakdown. Later in the video, we'll also go over the two-person budget tracker template, which is pretty similar to this one. There's just a few extra steps, and if you want to set it up so then you can look at as a couple what your budget is as well as individuals and how it breaks down. I want to note that this is a template that I've found someone else shared around like 5 or 6 years ago. I've yet to find that again, and so if anyone recognizes it, please let me know so I can give them the proper credit. Over the past 5 or 6 years though, I've kind of taken it and just made some changes and made it my own. So first thing to get set up is you'll need to go file and make a copy and name it. So I'll just say Joe's budget. Okay, and it should open a new tab for you. So this will be your copy here, and just kind of how it's set up, we see there's in column A tends to be these main categories. So you have income, saving, investing, rent, fixed expenses, variable expenses. Column B is your subcategories within those main categories. So you can change these and set them however you want. So, maybe job one is teaching, next one is tutoring, maybe instead of rent you have a mortgage. So we just need to make sure we spell things the same between here and the Google form that we're going to set up. As you can see here too, is the columns refer to months for each category, and we have a total here for total of the year, average per month, and budgeted goals. So these budgeted goals are things that you enter in, and it's nice to kind of be able to compare on what it actually comes out as. And I've kind of set it up for the saving investing rates where you could have it be some percentage that's multiplied against your income, which is kind of nice to track against. But how it kind of works is you don't really need to know exactly the formulas, but I'll link some of the documentation for Google Sheets in the video notes, and you can kind of see it's just summing the amount column from the form responses tab based on what month it was entered in, and making sure that the subcategory matches what you see here. We also have then summation rows to represent, the totals for each of the categories. Down below we see like the net savings and loss, which is going to be red for if you're under budget or under your income, and green if it's above, just like in the budgeted goals there. You might see this HSA tab in here. I just left that in because that's something we've been trying out this year, but if you don't want it, you can go ahead and delete it, and it's not connected to any of the other tabs. To add or delete any of the categories, you can do so by selecting the row. Like so, if you're not doing crypto, right click and delete row, and you'll notice that the rows below will update automatically for the formula. So before it was looking at row 13, or now it's looking at row 12. If we need to add one, you can just right click and hit insert one above or below. I'm just going to do above here. It's important to note that if you insert one below at the bottom, you may have to go in and change the summation row for the array that it's looking at to include the next row that you just added. But since I put it in above, it's still just going to calculate from 14 to 20 because it still recognizes these rows. So if I want loans in, I got some loans to pay, I just need to enter that in, and you'll see that these are blank, so we just need to select the formulas that we want to copy down and then hover over that blue dot in the bottom right corner till we see that cross or plus sign, drag it down. You might just need to hand update the budgeted goals as well. But as we can see, the formula still should be good for this new row. The next step is to set up the Google form. So it's important to note that what I've added here, it's not linked. We're going to have to create a new tab that's linked. We need to have the questions be in the same order so it doesn't mess with the formulas. So to add a new form, you can go to Tools and then Create New Form. It may take a little bit to load. Okay, and in here you're in the edit screen. If it didn't load for whatever reason, once you've created it, which you see here, we have a new tab and it's linked to a form. You can just go Manage Form and then Edit Form and it should open. But title's the same, so we're going to look at category. This can be multiple choice or drop down, however you want. I make it required, and then we need the subcategory, which that's going to be a drop down required just because there's so many options, and then amount, which well, auto populate be a short answer. Make that one required, and then I usually have a description column, and I leave that one not required. So I'll go ahead and either skip or fast forward so you don't have to see me hand enter all of these. Once you've got the form set up with all of the categories and subcategories properly, you need to be able to get into preview mode to be able to edit it. So to get to preview mode, you can just click preview there. It's the eye icon, and that'll open up in a new tab. So this is the link you can share with yourself or someone else. I usually have it open as a tab on my phone so I can enter it in as I go. And in here we can start to enter stuff. So I'll just quickly go ahead and enter in some examples so we can see them be put in. You need to make sure too that the category and the subcategory matches for how it is on the Google Sheet. On mine, I've set up kind of a helper column in the Form Responses tab that checks that for a match. Usually doesn't find any errors because we're pretty careful with it and know what's in what, although to show you how to set that up would be kind of out of the scope of this video. So once you enter it, you can always keep submitting more as well. So going back to the sheet, and we see that the answers are being auto-populated into Form Responses 8 tab, although they're not showing up in this tab here. It's because the formulas are looking at Form Responses 2. So what we're going to need to do is delete that old Form Responses 2 tab, rename this one to Form Responses 2. You can also get rid of that if you wanted and just have it say Form Responses. But now we see all these errors. It's due to the tab the formulas we're looking at was deleted. So you can hit enter or go into the formula, hit enter again, and it should refresh it so it recognizes the new tab. And we'll just have to drag over the formulas and drag them down, and now we can see that it's starting to pull that information. And there you have it. That's the individual budget tracker set up. Next, we'll go over how to set up the two-person budget tracker for those interested. To begin with the two-person budget tracker template, you'll need to make a copy. I'll just call it our budget. A couple other things to keep in mind between the tabs is the budget and the individual person tabs look at each other. So if I were to update this subcategory here, and we go to the person 1 tab, person 2 tab, we see that it gets pulled over because it's just looking at that. Same as if I were to update the categories. And then the budgeted goals are hand entered in each person's one. We see it's $70 total for both people, but if I just go and put 70 there for one person, then we see it increase to 90. Also, the cell breakdown for the main budget tab just sums from the form responses, while the individual ones take into account the person who entered it as well as whether or not it was split. So for person 1, it's summing all that are person 1, and for split question mark no, adding those to 50% of any ones that are entered by anyone with split marked yes. If you need to change the percentage breakdown, this is where you would do that in the formulas. While we're here though, we'll just update the name for person 1. So we'll go ahead and put Joe. And again, we can drag the formulas across and then down to update. And while I'm at it, also just update the tab name. Once you have the formulas updated for person 1, you need to update them for person 2. So again, we'll need to create a linked form, which is going to open it up and create a new tab with the linked form for us. We'll still need to put in the category subcategory amount, except this time before the description question, put in split, which is a multiple choice required question, yes or no, and who's entering multiple choice required question of the two people's names who's entering. Those also need to match the names exactly, as well as you'll see yes or no with the first letter just capitalized. So here I'll just put yes and no. And then who's entered, we'll do it's required, it's either Joe or Mary. Once you have your form set up with all those questions and the proper entries, you can just go to preview mode and we'll just start entering them. For income, those are often ones each one person is bringing in, so we don't need to split them. In this situation, we won't. We'll make sure each person has some income though. And then for things like rent, we can put that as a split. And it won't matter who entered it. Going back to our budget tracker, we see again they've updated in the form responses 8, so we'll need to delete the form responses 2 tab, update the tab name, and now we'll have to refresh the formulas for each of the 3 tabs. As we refresh them, you can see that they start to pull the correct information. And after you've updated the formulas for each of the tabs, we can see here that the job 2 data that was entered in for Mary only shows up in her tab, while job 1 data only shows up in Joe's tab, as well as things like rent is split evenly on both while showing total on the main budget. So there you have it. That's how you can set up a multi-person budget tracker from this template. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Anything's greatly appreciated. Let me know if you'd like to see other videos kind of like this. Another project I've thought of is connecting a Looker dashboard to this data and be able to visualize it more over time. I hope you can find these budget trackers as useful as I have. Thank you.